Hello, hello, my dear. How are you today?
I'm doing so well. And look at our afternoon. We always shoot
Oh,
in the
I
morning,
know. Yes.
but we're
Look at us
moving and
still
grooving.
awake. Isn't that incredible?
Not like we're workaholics or anything.
No,
It's not
not at
not
all. Not at
us.
all. No, that wouldn't happen.
How was your Saturday?
My Saturday was fantastic. I was booked out and I loved it.
Ooh,
I had an opportunity to have some new clients and that was really fun, and some familiar clients. So that was a lot of fun. I
good.
was able to, there was a sad note to it, was we had what's the name of it? Oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. We had an opportunity. It was a memorial. There we go. A memorial for a
Mm,
dear friend, Chuck Murphy. So we had that also in the back room into the large center. And it was very solemn for that. But
mm.
everyone was, again, wishing for the best for Chuck, and everyone was sticking together. If we believe what we believe, the spirit world is an amazing place. And one of our own is now there, hopefully taking notes. So when he comes back, he won't forget it all, and we'll maybe get some info. But
Now,
Saturday was amazing. There, now that I got my train of thought, oh my gosh, these
mm,
afternoons are getting to me. So it was amazing. How was your Saturday? I know you were busy at the fair working hard.
it was good. It was very good. Not think, the Saturdays do wear on me a little bit, and it's weird because there's a lot of thematic nature to it. But I felt like I had a lot of planning. Everyone was kind of
Good.
not a lot of sadness, but a lot of anxiety about the future, which obviously we
Ah,
all have.
yeah. And that's true. Whenever we can alleviate anyone's worries and concerns, and try to help them to see, it may not change the outcome of things, but it helps you to look at it from a better, a cleaner lens. And I
Hmm.
feel that that's also something that's part of what we're both driven to do, is to help people from that side of things.
I had
Oh,
a
I wanted
very
to tell you,
oh, go ahead.
I know we're live, but I wanted to tell you as well. You had mentioned about doing that work with the person that you met at the fair. It's
Yes.
so funny. I think I know who that person is. Did he have a hat on, a cowboy hat, middle age? He probably didn't
No.
wear it at the table.
He probably didn't wear it at the
Got
table.
He's a musician.
No.
Oh, it's someone else. He came
Yes.
over afterwards, and it's funny. I had a similar conversation. That's why I chuckled. Yeah, it was a similar thing. I was like, "Oh my gosh, isn't that funny that he's already been over to the other center?" But
Oh, no,
but
I
we'll
don't
talk
think
more
so.
about it. But
Well, I was going to mention him actually because it was so well, as I might think better of that. There's a lot of personal details. Anyways, I'm adopted. My dad was in the Navy, a lot of these things. And so he is dealing with he's basically the good, I feel potentially the good version of what my parents could have been.
I love it.
And
Yeah,
that's why he was sitting with me, and he has a background in life coaching. But,
perfect.
it's one of those things where no matter and I've cried to you about this before, saying like, how can I help others when I'm so, chaotic and all the other things that I am. But, it's that same situation. Like, I think
Yeah,
he probably has so much wisdom to deliver, and yet there's some things you're just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
right.
So I had a lot of respect
Well,
for him.
when you have a lot of experience, it helps you to relate better to people. So you're doing exactly what you're led to do. Your experiences help make you a better intuitive.
And why do they always have to be so rough? No.
Well, we're
Oh,
human, right? In this
that,
human condition.
well,
Yeah,
and
it's
since I
not
can't get
that's
turned
easy.
into an earth angel, I got to do it the hard
Oh,
way.
good God, I know they're happening. Every time I look, there's a new one. Oh my
Well,
gosh, Earth Angels, think twice. It's not the most pleasant of lives, is it?
doesn't seem like it. Well, and with that said, when we think about, these positions, right? Earth angels,
Yes.
guides, angels, like these topics that we've covered, and guides specifically, because, oh, thank you. That was actually a big topic as well. The learning or the life stuff. And then also I had several people trying to get in touch with their um energy stuff, right?
Right. Mhm.
And I was a little bit surprised, I guess, because there is metaphysical topics that are being taught right now, but they're not really they're not doing it through guide work at all. And I'm very
Ah,
curious about this with you. Sidebar. Um my advice that Saturday was sort of, it kept getting pointed back to get to know your gatekeeper, get to know the people that
yes.
protect you. And the methodology that I used when I was training with you and this was just by accident, I think, but I was asking to get to know my gatekeeper, and then sort of the scenes that would play out that I feel he shared with me
Yes.
were a version of the vision everybody wants, or the version of the remote viewing.
Yes.
But I had never thought about it until Saturday, when I kept repeating this weirdly, was I thought, if you're trying to not feel crazy, that's always what happens,
Right.
right? Why would you remote view or do any of that work without your guides? I mean, like, if they're going to, and I repeated you 100 times oddly that day, where I said, if the message is correct, thank my guides. If it's wrong, I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yes. Keeps ego out of it. Yes.
But it's also, there's a safety thing too, where it's like, if I only say, hey, I would like to just engage with my guide. I know you're with me from birth to death. Thank you so much for the work that you do for me. I know it's probably not easy.
Yeah, that's right.
But please show me something about yourself so that I can learn more about you.
Right.
Because then everything that, like, then it's just up for you to see it.
Yes.
But it doesn't invite, like, oh, show me World War II and da-da-da. And then before you know
not
it,
at all.
I just feel like for some reason it feels a little bit, not necessarily unsafe, but like maybe, I mean, isn't that a form of astral travel without the benefits of knowing kind of what you're up to?
Very much so. Getting to know your guides is really an important part of the process of all work. Even though I agree, I feel that we've kind of led away from that. You mentioned a lot of people are going more with get with what you feel, what you know, what you sense, what you're doing. And I want to say, well, I'm still in this human body, and I'm still in this human vessel. And so I really kind of want to go to the experts, and I look at the experts as being the information coming from the guidance, coming from the spirit world that's already in spirit, that knows the situation, knows the people's plights, people's issues, and their, the goods and the bads. But I do see that, Sterling. I've seen that with people, is that they're forgetting to invite their team to help them.
And, as I talk to people about the guides, I sit there thinking, I should do this more. I should do this more. And so it is a reminder to me too, because if we sit at the luxury where sometimes stuff just comes to us, then there is almost this like lazy expectation that will just be so, at least for me.
Right.
And so I need to be more mindful of that as well.
Again, sometimes it's difficult to hand authority over to the spirit. But if we teach and we believe what we teach, and we recognize the spirit world is really who we connect to, all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're trying to, in fact, get information that's not really provided to us through just natural process of education, reading, watching YouTube videos, we recognize we have to go elsewhere sometimes. And the elsewhere could be the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I just actually finished with a student on Zoom, and we had a similar conversation. When we invite our team, we recognize that we don't have to go it alone. I've never seen a baseball team of one. I've never seen a football team of one. I feel that the best plan of action is to get a team involved so that you have more accurate, more effective information.
Well, and will you share a little bit about Gladys? And the reason I bring her up is because not all guides are just like stoic geniuses that just want to tell you how to do well in life.
No, not at all. Gladys is fun. She always makes me laugh. I can't help talking about her without laughing, because she's got such a beautiful spirit. And I'm actually kind of keeping her at bay, because I really don't want her to, because this is her environment. This is her forum, okay? Gladys is one of my she's a member of my team, and we'll call it that. She's not my primary guide, even though I could hear her kind of go, oh, she's a wonderful energy. She's from the Shakespearean time. When she first came to me, it was several years ago. And I was writing my book, and I had, been putting the final touches on this book for, my dog, nearly 8 years. And so she would just be kind of my friend during that time. And she always had stories of, working in plays, working in, with others and in divine energies, and very theatrical soul. She came to me with flaming red hair. And it was so funny, because when I first met her, she was playing in my hair, going, oh, look. And so I thought we were kin, right?
What an alarming way for a guide to start integrating.
I know. It was like, who's playing with my hair? But She had beautiful red hair, and she had a beautiful just energy about her. She loved scarves. She's wearing green, bright emerald green scarves and just dresses and just very Shakespearean-ish. You know, if you
Mm-hmm.
can imagine that time and era. And so she would sit with me and try to keep me company. And it was really it was quite funny and quite surprising at the same time. But one point, she would just sit and I would type and I would correct my book and I'd read some more of it and I'd type it some more and change paragraphs. And she would always be around. And one time in particular, I could feel her leaning over, looking at what I was writing. And I kid you not, it was one of my chapters. I can't even remember which one, but they're not all, very pleasant anyway. And she just shrieked. And I heard the shriek. She came up to my right side and I heard the shriek. And it was like so surreal because it was in my ear and it was like there. And I knew she was there. And she hadn't been reading any of what I was writing. And so I thought that was kind of curious because she didn't like what she read. It's not that pleasant story. And she shrieked and she left me for a while, which is probably
scared
good.
her.
It scared her, which is probably good as she wasn't a primary guide, right?
That's a good point. Oh my God. Yeah.
And so she
Ooh.
did. Some guides are seasons and reasons that come to help. She wanted to help me with my creative side. I don't feel that she exactly knew how creative the book was and how true it was. And so it took her a while. It took her a while to come back to me, probably about a year. And then when she did, I called her. And every time that I've talked to her, I hear her laugh because she's got such a high frequency and a high pitch. So you can imagine the shrill, how high that was. And she finally came to me and she just started laughing like, oh my gosh, like nothing had changed. That it was like, oh gosh, just, it was like something in a play that she just was not sure of. And then finally came back.
Wow.
So yes.
First of all, I did not realize she was so recent to you.
She has not been with me my entire life now.
And I did not realize that she had left for a minute. That's so interesting. See, I learned something new all the time.
But she did return and she's around me now. I'm not as strong though, I have to tell you, because there's times where she will get me in a fit of laughter, which is, probably needed at those times. Even though I'm trying right now, I'm like, don't do that. Come on. I don't want to be on a YouTube for every one of our viewers to see me, shrieking at the top of my voice, or laughing at the top of my voice. But that's what she makes me do. She gets me to that place where things are funny and laughter and oh my gosh, let's be theatrical.
I love that. I love that. Would you think, real last question about guides, I promise, because you know me.
You're fine. Hey, this is keeping it real, right? We keep it real.
So would you, if there was, we're human, we always want a hierarchy. Would you make a distinction that would say perhaps some of the reason or the season guides would be maybe newer to the staff and the people that are the person, not real guides, forgive me, the what do you call them? I mean, your main two perhaps, or that they're a little bit more mature in that stage, in that processing.
And absolutely. And I would say that, some people might not agree with me, but I look at it this way. If you're going to specialize, I may not need you for that particular reason or event or need all the time. But a guide that is with me to help me be balanced, to help me to navigate through my day-to-day life, I would expect them to be with me a lot more. I would expect them to know me from the start of time forward so that we could kind of formulate a deeper bond and we can kind of understand how each other works. A guide that's a season or a reason, even though she likes to hang around me, I don't feel that she is necessarily, if you want to look at it through a contractual term, she's probably not necessarily mine. She's not my person.
She's sharing her energy.
Yes.
Okay. I said that and it, I felt no one said anything, but there was almost a like God, we're in the generation of abandonment issues, right? And I felt that kind of hit a certain way. And I understand that, if I hadn't learned about this process through someone other than you, there would be a thing of like, what do you mean you could potentially leave? Well, then, if you're me 5 years ago, that'd be like, well, then don't be around now,
Well,
so it is interesting.
And you're right. We have to take a look at it from not necessarily a humanness, from our type of perspective, but more from a spiritual look at this. And I'll tell you though, in accordance with what you just said, Sterling, I was teaching a class one night. It was a channeling class. This was years ago, and I had a student of mine. It was so funny. She reached out to me the next morning. I love her. Yeah, she's a great gal. She does a lot of hypnosis and just a lot of other wonderful. She's an intuitive, just a wonderful gal. And so she reached out to me the next morning after class, and she said to me, "Oh, I want you to know that Brutus has been visiting with me. That he came to my dream last night, and I think I'm going to start working with him as well." Well, as you can imagine, I bristled up. What do you mean, Brutus? Brutus is mine. Get your own boyfriend.
God, yeah.
Because that's what we would feel if this was in a human, in human form. We would be like, no, that's mine. But we realize again, once more, that the human body, this is kind of the container, right? And a container can't go flitting around from here to there to everywhere, right? So in spirit, if we believe what we do believe, we have to think of it in many ways. I could tell you at least 10 people I know off the top of my head that have Archangel Michael as their guide. So I also know, I don't know if you've heard this before, but there's people that believe in a God. And they all pray to him.
Yes.
And 45 different denominations, right?
1,000,000%. Oh, that's such a good point.
If that's the case, then why not? I don't know. In my human brain, it's hard for me to wrap my head around it in my human brain, but spiritually, it makes perfect sense. And Lisa was very pleased to have my guide with her for a while.
Do you ever wonder, devil's advocate? I'm not saying anything about your friend. I'm just, like, let's make up somebody who would say that to me or to you. That would not maybe be a good faith actor. Was there ever a moment where you would want to go and check with, people say crazy stuff all the time. Would you ever go and say, are you actually, or would that be sort of a way for,
oh,
like,
absolutely.
if I came to you?
I asked him. Oh, no, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you bet, girl.
Yeah.
Like, dude, are you two-timing me? What you doing? You're my number one Brutus. What are you talking about? You're flitting around here.
Us, Brutus.
What you doing with that other woman?
Yes.
But realistically, I got a chuckle, like, calm down. Calm down. So I'm like, okay, well, there you go. I guess I'll take it for what it is. I mean, what else am I going to do, right?
That's fair.
Fire Brutus, I don't know what I'd get in replace. The replacement might
show
not
up,
be what I want.
He would show up with those glasses that have the nose and the mustache. He'd be like, I'm your new guide.
Yeah, like, you know who I am.
My name is Wee Brutus.
Yeah, Wee Brutus. That's funny. I like that. Good thought. Oh, my gosh.
That makes me ask, I don't know why we're sidebarring into this, but I think there might be an interesting pathway here.
There might be.
So it's been a long time since we've talked about this, and the topic of shamanic, that's kind of been brought back into focus for me.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
And I'm very curious as well.
Absolutely.
But when we go into that more earth energy, then you get into the
lower worlds.
Well, and the spirit animals.
Lower worlds, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. And I was curious about, so the lower world, which we talk about, is sort of, this place where we can put things to bay for a moment so that they're not quite so active in our world.
Yes.
Also the land of the spirit animals.
Right.
And, other things as well. But so when we talk about spirit animals, for instance, with you and the wolves, with me and the bear.
Yep.
In case people didn't know why we called ourselves that.
I know. They might be still wondering what this is all about, right?
A lot of people would, I'll say me. When I first understood or thought I understood the concept, I thought, oh my gosh, these majestic animals, they're just amazing to have around. And there was a lot of gratitude. But I'm starting to realize that they are also very telling. They're more reactive to damage, and they're more reactive to what you, and so that kind of is like by deduction processes. That is to me fascinating because I don't see that talked about at all.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody had a bird-like animal,
right?
And let's not get so specific to like a raven, because they are very different. But let's just say it is.
Everyone wants one, by the way. Everyone wants to be a raven because they're cool.
Well, but then, I mean, ravens are incredibly clever. Would that then mean that you're kind of not as clever as you ought to be?
Ah,
I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean?
could be if they're all wanting the same damn bird, right?
Oh my Shots fired, Terri style. Pew pew. No, but excellent. I mean, that's so I would be curious. In the books I've read, those are predominantly reason or season. So, or is that not true?
That is true. Often, well, any animal can be a reason or a season. If you're needing, support on an ongoing basis, like for me with the wolves, they were more for protection because I needed it. As I've grown, they're more for me because I'm about pack. I got more of a pack mentality, even though I don't really share always well with others.
No, I mean,
I am still, I still have a need to help and to teach and to be in community, to help community. So that's what a wolf represents, is a pack. And keeping an organized pack is imperative. And what does that mean? That just means being organized yourself. So as you continue with our endeavors, we do need something continuous. We need something that's going to keep us, in that right focus, that right state of mind, in that right direction. So it makes sense that for us, and for many others, of course, too, that their animals are pretty much, there for a very long time. But there are seasons and reasons for visionary reasons.
And do you also feel that there are more than, is it just like guides where you can have more than one, or do they not? It doesn't seem like that they would want to be around each other.
When you say they wouldn't want to be around each other, from what regards? You mean different animals hanging out with each other?
I guess, but now that I say that out loud, maybe it doesn't make sense.
They're not friends, is what you're saying. Man, these people are nemesis. We got a bug and a bird, and they are not coexisting.
Because that would be opposite vibrations.
According to us, in human form.
Good point. Yeah. No, you're perfectly right. We're in human form.
I mean, if the bird's not going to eat the bug's not going to be eaten. Why not? Why not coexist?
Exactly, because they don't have that. They don't have
the need.
I see. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Perfect sense.
I love it. So when you were going to the lower worlds, because I know that's where we were heading with all the wonderful animal kingdom, were you anticipating that as bringing new animals back up, or what was the premise of the animals from the lower world?
No, I did go there relatively recently, back maybe a month and a half ago, when I was really upset and I was crying with you a lot, and I was trying to put myself at ease on some level.
Good.
But no, I don't really.
Good.
I don't meditate as much as I should. But it was really beautiful that I did know. Yeah, exactly. God. But no, this was more curiosity just from this moment. But like, I haven't been lately.
It's okay. It's all right. For all those people that are curious, no, we do not meditate 9 to 10 hours a day. If we did, when would we talk to you? We don't have that. We're working 14-hour schedules. How are we meditating? In our sleep. That's how. That's the only time most days. But we do meditate when we can.
True. Well, and so with the animals I would be very curious about this from your perspective, because I don't ever see them around people.
No.
It's just not my gift. And
it's okay.
But it also would not be true that they would present themselves readily to, like, wouldn't that be private information? Like when someone tries to tell you what your guide might be.
And again, those are slippery slopes. That's a good point. And I've seen it from so many different angles and so many different philosophies. And I teach a class every other week that's more guide oriented now, in Louisville, and so which is in Texas. So we're in Texas, yes. And so what I realize is that everyone has a little bit of a twisted, different belief on especially animals. I'll look at it this way. If I see your animal, I'm going to tell you have an animal. Don't hold me, don't hold my feet to the fire on it. If I see it, it might mean that you need it for today. You need it for tomorrow. And here you are. More than anything, it's never to anyone's best advantage to be told flat out, oh, look at you have this and this and this and this and this. And their name is Ollie and Oscar and Johnny and Joni. Because then you're just spending the rest of your day calling everything those names. If you want to develop a relationship with your guides and your animals, go through it the best way, which is you figure that out. You do your best to try to get it, and I'm happy to help. If I see some tall dude standing by you, I'm certainly going to say, hey, you got a tall dude standing by you. You know, if you've got a god or goddess, I'm going to go, hey, good job. But you need to go and get a relationship. So, you know, what you're saying is, you know, is it more intimate? It is in a lot of ways. There are people that I would never give much data because they're onto it. They know, they know. They know they've got this team. They felt them. I asked them, well, what do you feel? What do you know? And if they've got a pretty good handle on it, then we go there. We go
Case
in
by
that
case.
direction. But if they are like clueless completely, I might give them like, okay, we've got someone very tall behind you. I'm not going to try to get a name. If I hear one, I'll tell you, but I don't want you to hold me responsible for it. And the main reason is everybody at some point or another, they have to do their own legwork, right? I can't walk a journey for anybody, nor can you. I can't do that.
Right.
Retrieval, what a wonderful topic.
Yeah, thank you. But so I remember that, you know, I did have an experience with that where I was, you know, sobbing from the soul basically for about an hour after. So something definitely happened. I feel that was probably in my best interest.
Yes.
But when I met you, you had said, you know, that's not my favorite thing. And you told me, I feel that you were in the hands of someone who was doing their best and a good faith actor. But predominantly speaking, that work should be done by yourself. And then to be in a position now, you know, 3 or 4 years later and repeating that, but meaning it myself as well.
Yes.
It's just funny how, you know, I think that, anyways, point just being, whenever somebody has a guide or has a spirit animal, whatever it could be, you know, to me, it almost feels like mediumship, where it's, you know, it makes me anxious because I don't want to be wrong. And I understand that this person, depending on their nature, they might go get a tattoo because I maybe saw a kangaroo and maybe my guides were trying to tell me that they were about to go to Australia. And I was like, oh, you've got a guide and it's kangaroo. So I don't speak on it. But it's never anyways that I get that information truly. But I just think,
well, I'm going to take that somewhere else.
Yes, please.
Again, if we believe in what we do believe in, and I know that we're humans, right? And the biggest problem with being human is we don't want to be wrong. We have what we call, and even though we don't act upon it necessarily, we have an ego. We have a logical side. We have not had. Well, maybe I don't know. Am I gone yet? Am I spirit?
No.
Oh gosh, am I real?
No.
Oh no, I'm not real. But we recognize that we don't want to be wrong. We don't want to make a mistake. We don't want to give false information. But I know that I don't have time to get the sorting hat out. You know, love Harry Potter. Get the sorting hat out and throw it in there and decide if this is right, if this is theirs or not theirs. So if I see a kangaroo, I'm going to say, I have a kangaroo here. Now you can take that whenever you want. You can plant a tattoo this size across your derriere, and that's your business. Okay? You can have one on the side of your face that jumps every time you eat. I don't care. I'm just going to tell you that I've got a kangaroo. And I see a kangaroo around you, and you can take it and throw it in the trash, or you can take it and, paint it on your car. I can't go there as far as what they do with it. I'm simply going to give them the data that I have. And now if I don't know they're going to Australia, I'm not going to go, let's see now. I see a kangaroo. You must be going to Australia. Oh, you're going to the outback. Oh my gosh. You're going to box with a kangaroo. I'm not going to go and embellish. Because right now all I got is a kangaroo. And, it's interesting. I told someone, Lisa's funny because she's come up now twice because that's what I told her she had was kangaroo. So funny. Hey, Lisa, shout out to you, my dear.
Look at us. We must be in sync
She knows
too.
who she is if she's listening. Hey, Lisa, you should be a subscriber. So we recognize that I saw a red kangaroo, in fact. Don't ask me if there's a difference because I don't know.
That's the rub too. We say and do things, and we're just, like that happened the other day with something about work that I don't know anything about. And so I don't know how this works, but they're telling me this.
Yeah, this is what I'm hearing. You said this is what you're getting.
So you're gonna have to fill in the blanks, honey.
Right. You can take it to the bank or you can take it to the receptacle unit and throw it away. You know, I don't know what to tell you, but I do know that if I'm hearing it, I have to believe that it has integrity. I have to believe that what I'm giving you is information that is coming from another source. You know, I'm not saying that, oh, poor me, I don't have the skill sets. It's not about ego, you know. I mean, I tease people. People really look at me dumbfounded when I say it. When I say, I keep myself stupid and dumb because, quite honestly, my most authentic moments are when I'm reciting something that I've never learned, that I don't know a darn thing about, and all of a sudden I'm regurgitating it because it's coming from somewhere else. So if I see a kangaroo it is. So I do understand what you're saying, and it's really not. I know you're such a loving soul. You are very, very much about getting things correct, and I'm about getting them correct. But I'm also not judging what is correct for me and what is not correct for me because it's not for me.
See,
Anyway.
I'm still in class. Thank you so much,
Well,
because
we
that's a
all
great
are.
point.
You all are.
You helped me so much, and I'll never forget, because I never thought it would be as easy as it is on this level. But when you said just when you get nervous, just keep talking and talk faster.
Talk faster.
It's
Get it going.
perfect. Because that, I mean, then you really do become a channel. For me, at least, that's the way I can do it better.
Bingo. You do become a channel.
Because why would I say kangaroo?
What's that?
I said, because right now in this moment, why would I have said kangaroo?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, I think it's a very cool kangaroo. I might get one this big on my derriere, or I could go this big.
Well, you know,
we've seen a lot lately. Damn it.
Maybe they'll get you to hop her out now.
Ooh, oh, I love that. I love it. You know, but let me give a shout out real quick, if you don't mind. Misty, I know that you're our subscriber. Thank you, Misty, for subscribing. I have your sweater, and I will hold it hostage till I see you again.
Misty or Mindy?
Oh, wait, it's Mindy, not Misty. Misty is someone I just met. That's another client. See, I need a rewind tape tonight.
No, you're good.
No, it's Mindy. Mindy, not Misty.
I actually
Misty
just got her number, so I can text her.
Oh, that is so funny.
We're going to have some sessions, I think, to learn, to work around.
Stealing my clients again. Look at you. No. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Just to talk about, well, just what we said about the guides, about why if you're going to do, you know, she's a lot like me, but she readily admits that she's got some OCD stuff. And so I was feeling very strongly that for right now, mediumship was perhaps maybe not the most helpful avenue for her, because she's hyper fixating on the details and whether or not they can be proven to be right.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I was saying, you know, you can view things with your guides. That does not, you can't Google it. You can't, you know, and then when you go through them, you don't have to worry, am I crazy or not? Because they're the ones providing for you.
Precisely. And that's the important part of that. And she's a wonderful gal. And I'm going to bring my sweater to Saturday's event. So Mindy, if you're listening, and Misty, if you're not, just forget it. You don't have a damn sweater. But Mindy, I have your sweater. And I shall bring it with me.
Like you said, you had a sweater for me.
That's right. Oh no. I have 100 people named Mindy and Misty coming to my office going, oh, it's my sweater.
Can you imagine a fight to the death?
I know, over a sweater. I might keep it for myself. But it won't fit. But that's okay. It looks good.
Well, we will make sure she gets that sweater.
No, gosh. Yes.
Well, that's actually a great segue. Imagine in a different world, Mindy lost a very important sweater.
Yes, she did. Yes. And
she, you know, goes on TikTok, where all the psychics are now.
Oh, they are. All the good ones. Especially.
All the good ones. Yes. All the good ones. Go ahead. And they tell her to just manifest her sweater.
Yes.
What would you say to that?
Well, as long as that's all they said, and they didn't say for $199.95, I can help you manifest your sweater as well. Of course, you could go buy 15 of them between now and then for that money.
That's
sorry.
hilarious.
Did I go off on a tangent?
Hilarious. No, because it's so accurate.
It's so true. You know, can you manifest a sweater? Sure, you can. I mean, my gosh, we get calls all the time about missing cats and dogs and people, and you know, missing jewelry all the time. Why not missing sweaters? We can go. We can manifest my sweater. I want my sweater back. Put that out in the universe. Start bringing it in. Where's my sweater? We do it at home. How many times have we lost our car keys? Right?
I go. That's it. I feel so bad. That's where I go to my guides immediately. I gotta go. Please help me. And
Help
almost always
me.
the
Yes,
next spot.
it is. That's exactly right. So, manifesting and begging our guides, they might be one and the same. I'm not sure. But they do work in accordance with each other. I do feel that there's a great benefit to saying, okay, guys, I got to get this sweater back. So I'm going to manifest it. So I'm going to bring it to me. Help me to bring it to me. Get it closer. Get it closer. Show me where it is. Let's make it happen. Excuse me. And so then we recognize that we're either going to get a sweater or we're going to have a lot of thought towards the sweater. And see how it plays out. Manifesting can be things that we already have returned. Manifesting could be manifesting something that we don't have. Maybe I need a sweater. Maybe I don't want to go buy one, but I need one. So I'm hoping that someone will throw one in the lost and found. So I'm manifesting a sweater, right? So that I can collect a sweater. There are many different techniques for manifesting. We recognize that really, if we believe in what we teach and we teach what we believe, then we recognize that we can manifest. But one thing we've recognized, and Sterling, you and I talked about this, is you've got to be, we got to be realistic for it to be effective as well, right? If I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say, well, if I manifest and I believe in manifesting and I believe it's possible, then I start, I want $1 million. Well, that sounds really good. I mean, everyone would be clapping, going, "Yay, let's get $1 million. Let's do it." But are we out really kind of betting our own energy? Are we manifesting something that's a bit unrealistic? Now,
I love what you just said. You said, "Are we betting our own energy?"
Yes. I know that was channeled. Boy,
That was
tell you, my guides
amazing.
are quite intelligent.
I love them. I love you. That was
And so I
perfect.
love them too. And so we recognize with that type of thought that we want to, maybe not necessarily go, I want to manifest $10. But again, I remember a time when manifesting $10 was going to bring me some milk and bread in my household at a time where I needed it. So $10 then was $100, later. So we recognize if we go to, we start small and we build up, then we have more likelihood to sustain it, to stick with it. Now, when people manifest things, that doesn't mean it's a one and done. You say it and you're done, right? Because if I'm saying I'm going to manifest $1 million, well, I'm going to have to get up and out of the house to probably do that, or at least get up and go to my computer to do my part. Because we do participate oftentimes in the manifesting of good things.
Well, one must. I mean,
One
right?
must.
If you're gonna be a couch potato and then also sit there and beg the universe to be a millionaire, it's not in alignment.
It's not in alignment. It's just the same thing when people beg, and I'm going to throw this out in the universe for every one of our listeners. For those of you, this is just, I'm talking to you. Yes, whoever you are, you know who you are. When you say that all you want is a relationship and you just really need a spouse, whether a male or female, it makes no difference. I don't care. But you're not willing to get up and look and be a process of it, be a part of it. You can manifest that all you want, but you're not willing to do the work. You're working against your own success. You're working against your own success. Manifest someone to love you. You got to be a player. You've got to be a player in that particular situation.
Not a player romantically.
No. And then you have lots
the
of
Wolf and the Bear told us that we're supposed to be players, so here we are.
Players. I got 6 tomorrow and 4 the next day, and I'm going to pick and choose until I get it right?
Oh, goodness, yeah.
But it makes sense, doesn't it? If you're going to manifest, take an active role. Take an active role into making it come to into creation.
And specifically, with taking that gambling, the betting, aspect,
yes.
Where we just had some fun recently up there. Some of us did. But
yes.
When you say you want a relationship, right? You want the relationship. That is a huge part of your world at some point if you get it.
Yes, it is.
But the reason, and I get it, but the reason that one would not almost unanimously is never necessarily laziness, but it's fear.
It's fear.
I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to be lied to. All these very real things that very much can happen. Like it's horrible. But also that is I mean, taking those chances, betting on yourself that you'll be okay, even if those things happen. that is sort of almost the cost to get towards that thing that eventually will be at least quite a bit of half of your existence.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't make sense that that would come effortlessly or free if there is a give and take to the universe, which, you know,
Makes
maybe there is,
sense.
maybe there's not.
It makes a lot of sense. I did a practical study one time. And again, I really didn't share it with the participants because I didn't ask for their participation. I just took it. But
Yes.
so I
love it.
couldn't use it as anything. But what I recognize is I had several women coming to me and several men coming to me on a regular basis that all they were really looking for was love. They just wanted someone to relate to. They wanted someone in their life. They wanted a partner. They didn't necessarily want to get married. They just wanted a partner. They wanted someone that could be there when they needed them. And they wanted, that affection and that, intimacy. And I was hearing it quite regularly. And I thought, okay, well, there's a lot of people that need a lot of love. And they all have the same thing in common, which is what I just mentioned. They all are looking for someone. So there's a common denominator there. So I thought, well, how cool is this? So I started reaching out to these individuals. And, again, I like to take things to heart. When people say they want something, I'll see if I can help them. And I said, listen, I've got a few women I think that you might be interested in. I'm going to go ahead and give them your information for Facebook so they can start following you to see if you have something in common. Boy, that got an attention. Why are you doing that? Well, you said you were looking for a woman, for a partner, and you don't know how to go about it, so I'm going to help you. I've already told them all about you, which I did, and I'm giving them your full name. In fact, I've showed you to them on Facebook, and they are sending you friend requests right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that not one of those guys that I did that with accepted those friend requests? And I was picking some pretty decent women. I mean, I wasn't picking like their grandmothers. I was picking like someone that was compatible.
Viable options.
Viable options, exactly. And and I did it both ways to see the responses. And what I found is that the people that said that truly wanted were not willing to do any work to get it. That when it became more real, it became too real.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we get ourselves into trouble. And the same is with money.
That's the definition of tragedy.
Yes. And so it's the same thing with money. Now we're all sitting there on the other side of this podcast and we're saying, no, if I get $1 million, no problem. Hey, bring it up, give it to me, get it going. Well, what are you willing to do to work lawfully to get it? What are you willing to do to set it in motion? Chances are your $1 million is likely to come sooner if you invoke effort. If you start with 1,000 and you want it by, say it's a good day to do it, 2 days from now, then you can't go take a nap to get it. You can't just figure one and done to the universe and I'm good to go. Some people do. I've had people that will fight with me on it. I have a regular client who fights with me all the time. If I'm supposed to have it, it'll come to me. Well, how's that working for you, love? You're 75 years old.
And that to me is that is one of my biggest issues with the new age TikTok psychic tarot thing. No offense to anyone who's doing that. We love you.
You're
and there's
all
a place
great.
for it.
I've heard. I don't ever watch anything on TikTok. I'm sorry. Love you all.
But that's such a dangerous. I mean, it's solipsism. It's a dangerous idea that everything that is meant for you will come to you.
Yes.
I just don't know that it works that way. And we don't know how it works because we haven't died yet. We don't have the rule book in front of us. I wish, right? And we're not really allowed to. I'm guessing because we can beg our guides for it. And it's kind of like, well, maybe. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
never mind.
But if that worked, I'd do die Brutus. I'll never talk to you again if I don't get $1 million in my bank account tomorrow.
Exactly. And also leave that lady alone. You're mine.
Leave that lady alone. You're mine.
But, when people say about the relationship stuff, because Iggy and I, my dear friend, he always gets a shout out on this podcast, but I love him.
He does. One of these days I got to meet him in person or on the screen somewhere. I got to meet him. No.
I love it. I will make that happen for us. We can shoot with him. He has a lot of really cool stuff about Qigong. But
very cool.
Anywho, we did an exercise, I think like back in November, where we decided that we were going to write down in our perfect world what our partners would be in like detail. And then he chickened out and didn't send me his, but I sent mine. And there's a couple things that did. And so one might be metaphysical, maybe, and one is definitely psychological. And either way, it's beneficial.
Right.
But I told this to a client on Saturday, and I said, regardless of anything, a thought form is wispy. It's like you'll have 8 million of them in a day. So they'll just go out and whirl around. Maybe they stick with you for the day, but they're out in nothing, really.
Right. Absolutely.
When you say it out loud, you've affected the physical world, but it also is not locked. Probably more impactful.
It's not enough
thinking, but it becomes more impactful perhaps maybe when other people hear it.
Yes.
Because then it goes into a memory bank. But there is still power in saying it. But the thing that I think has a lot of influence perhaps could be is setting a placeholder in the physical world.
Yes.
Because now it's physically here. It's made manifest with the rest of us. And that is impactful.
It's the world we live in. It's a physical world. Yes,
and now that energy is locked within a space. And essentially could basically, loosely put, be a portal for your desires to sit.
Yeah. Right.
So
it makes a lot of sense.
And so my thought about, the writing down, right? It's like, okay, so you say you want this. You say you want somebody to care about you. You say you want someone to, unconditionally love you. Well, as you have that near you in a physical form, or as you say that every morning, or as you focus on it, you're going to realize that maybe the side piece that you've been hanging out with that you just can't let go. Suddenly you just start realizing over time, like, he doesn't, it's very conditional. Or, he doesn't care about me.
It's very
conditional. And you start to just kind of become, maybe suddenly he calls and normally you would just jump to the phone to get it. And suddenly before you know it, you're like, I'm washing dishes. I'll call him back.
Right. All of a sudden, it's different intention. Yes.
And because you've said, this is what I want. And you're going to start getting irritated more and more as you realize that doesn't fit. And why doesn't it fit?
Right.
And I just think that, call it manifestation, call it alignment, call it, just like attuning your mind. But the end result is the same. That you would only accept somebody who was these things because you've poured your heart into wanting it. You poured your heart into thinking about it.
Yes. I'm going to make a suggestion too on that. When we do that, and sometimes because I am also a life coach with what I do, I recommend, and I really come to this conclusion, that we're more apt to stick to a list that is what we will not accept in others than we are what we want. Because sometimes it's easier to put someone in, again, the square peg into the round hole if we're looking at smaller components of it.
Excellent
so if we're
point.
looking at all the things we want, well, we may say, well, he doesn't really have a great smell, but that's okay. He's got a good personality. But, well, he doesn't have a great personality, but at least he has a personality. Do you see?
Yes.
Instead of saying, I cannot have someone who is a narcissist. And these are the descriptive words of narcissism. I cannot have someone who da-da-da, and then listing them off.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you've done that, these are the things that you don't relate to.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that you can't sustain within you. So you're not likely to sustain them in others. Meaning that if you see it, it's going to be more of a turnoff rather than ignoring.
Mm-hmm. Well, and, with that as well, tell me, I don't know how I feel about this thought form. Because it's a little bit of, well, we'll never know, I guess. But the way I describe it to people, because I think it was just described to me that way through my systems. But it's like, I feel, if it is true that there are basically infinite timelines, infinite choices, it's all just, it is out there at some point, in some way. Or maybe just as options. When you go out and I say, in a perfect world, I see myself with a loving family. I see myself, healthy, wealthy, and wise. You find that future in the possible outcomes. And you sort of send your energy out to that saying, boy, that is what I'd like.
Right.
And as you continue to walk your path forward, that future feels somewhat familiar because you've sent your energy to it.
Right.
and you might be a little bit more apt to pick the pathways that feel like maybe that's what will get you there, because
And
you
that
sit
makes
there
sense.
and you daydream and you're like, this is, and that's why they say manifestation, I am, or I already have, because you're trying to find that future where that
Yes.
is true, and then
And,
have it kind of placehold and sing for you.
and I love that. And that makes a lot of sense. And I agree with what you're saying, Sterling. But I will also say that there's a subset of people that can't rely on their own way to be able to find the better choices. That in some of their world, and we've seen in some situations that, people have gotten themselves, well, I knew he was my twin flame and I knew I had to be with him. Why did you know that? Because I set the word out there, and there he is. And I'm like, okay, he does have a job. He's got an addiction, but I can work with him. Okay. So you actually wanted to manifest someone with a major drug problem, and someone who doesn't have a job, who's going to sleep on the sofa, who's probably impotent, so those kids you wanted are out of the picture. So
Lord have
getting
mercy.
real, in that regards, we recognize that sometimes the power of persuasion does get lost in only one ourselves. The power of
Excellent point.
manifesting. So we
Well,
do have to be mindful of that.
Well, and that's kind of the scary part of it, because it's like, no one said that, well, let me rephrase that. These functions might always be true, regardless of if we are aware of them.
Yes.
And we bear the impact of them regardless if we know that that's what we've been sitting here manifesting.
Right.
Because,
yes.
oh, go ahead.
No, that makes sense. I see where you're coming from. And that logically is a good format. That makes a lot of sense. If you're dealing with someone who's coming from a pretty normal, healthy perspective.
Well, I was agreeing with you by saying, we bear the consequences of what we think we want, good or bad.
I see what you're saying.
And it's a responsibility, because if I sit there and I say, which is more in tune with who I used to be, and I just say, I just want to be loved. Someone just love me. Well, then someone might come along and they'll love me, but they're so bad for me, or they're this and that. And I think that that's one of the reasons why, if that's all you're willing to put into I just sit there and think about being loved, then that's that the universe doesn't have a lot to go on.
That's exactly right.
And it'll just bring you that.
And and again, and this is kind of another branch of this tree. I am always perplexed by this, and I get these all the time, and I just ponder it, and I can't come up with a logical reason for any of it. So I want to share with you, when we talk about manifesting, we do have those that say just about what you said. I just want love. Okay, well, that's great. We want you to have love, but what else about love is going to be for you? I have these and women and men alike. They'll be like, I'm in a new relationship. I want to know how it's coming along, how it's doing. Okay. So we've got a foundation. We know we got something to work on. Here we're going to go connect. And then I'll say, it seems like there's some kind of addiction in this person's energy. Are you aware of that? Yes. Okay. So you've met this person and you've been dating for 2 months now, say for instance. And is this person no longer gainfully employed? No, they're looking. Okay. I hope you have a pretty comfortable sofa, because before you become intimate, he's going to be a roommate.
I was going to say a hobosexual. When people just date you because they need a house.
And that could be it too. Exactly. So,
Lord have mercy.
But I have seen it. I've seen it recently, and it just tore me up, because very amazing woman. Extremely beautiful. I mean, this is like a Dallas cheerleader energy, okay? And she was dating an ex-ball player. And he was a drunk. And everything but drunk came out of her mouth. This man was hiding empty cans of beer in closets and in drawers, in cupboards, under things. Gallons that were empty of vodka, hiding everywhere, hiding. He had moved in because he had to find himself. He did. He found himself in her home.
At the bottom of a bottle.
At the bottom of a bottle. And he didn't have any money. Imagine that. He probably had millions, but he was a
Drank it
drunk.
away.
And I'm sorry, and I'm not picking on those with addictions. I know I'm saying it pretty stark-like, but I tend to. And so here's a beautiful person.
It's your podcast, Terri.
It's my
Say it how you like.
whatever I want to, damn
That's
it.
right. That's right.
And so what we've got is a beautiful soul who has an incredible lack of self-awareness, who has a low self-esteem, who just might as well gone to the corner and picked up a bum, and I don't take that lightly, not all homeless are bums, excuse me, and brought him home and said, oh, you're my new boyfriend. He would come penniless, addicted, without a place to live too. So the fact he was an ex-ball player who used to make $1 million, he didn't
Changes
manifest
nothing.
that million afterwards. So why do we see that? Why do we do that? What are we doing in our manifesting? What is it we doing in our way that we're bringing in something that we wouldn't even think to tolerate if our bestie was telling us that they had done that?
Well, and I have a very scary answer to that, I think, perhaps. And that is, we would do very well to put a lot of conscious effort and energy into being very selective about what we want, because no matter what, our subconscious is manifesting too.
Yes.
So we only have control of
no
one of
goal
them.
sets either. It just manifests whatever it feels and hears from your weakest moments.
And that, and that's our cross to bear on some level, because we can't, I guess if you really do go through a lot of therapy, integrate as much as you can, your conscious and subconscious, but you're still not in control with a lot of your psychology. Some people, some research says it's like 75% of your decisions are made unconsciously.
Yes.
So scary. But
it's terribly scary.
But it's like, well, then we should use the 25% that we have control over to try to at least get the dial somewhere in the vicinity of healthy and what you're sort of after.
Yes.
Because the other one's running. So like if I were just, a therapist, which I'm not, but intuitive, maybe I am, I wonder too, there are a lot of people who say they want a successful person, say they want a person put together. But really, if they were, then that would mean that they would also have to be, because then the light would be glaring on them and their lack of ability to do so. I'm not saying that about her.
It's
I'm saying now
self-reflective.
you have this unconscious that says, I cannot bear to have my truths exposed about my lack of organization, my chaos, that I might have a little bit of something going on with, whether it's addiction, spending, whatever. Right. And now that, because it's 75% of our choices, has actually manifested that, because that fear was greater, that fear was more powerful and more dense, created more gravity. So it's hard. It's so hard to be here, but we do our best.
It is hard to be here. It is. But we've got to be careful about finding ourselves with some common terms that we always hear when we see people at their weakest moment. They're finding themselves. My boyfriend is finding himself. My girlfriend is finding herself.
That's such a good point.
Is she lost? Because I want to go in and say, damn, how long have you been looking for her? Where'd you put her?
You know what year you left her
What year you left her? And I'm not being flippant, and I'm not trying to be rude, and a little sarcastic perhaps, but that's my nature. We recognize that there's got to be more to that. What did you see that made you think that they actually can sustain something? Were they working are they working a job and saying, this isn't my cup of tea, but I'm going to get something better while I'm working? Or did you meet them where they're like, they're basically coach, what are they, surfing coach? Is it sofa surfing or whatever that is?
Couch surfing.
Couch surfing, thank you, I'll get it eventually.
No, you're perfect.
So what made you think that was going to change? If you find someone a certain way, chances are that's the way they typically are. And it doesn't mean that we can't have good things come to us and that we work through. Someone that just gets laid off because, we've looked at our economy and we know it's pretty bad. Well, we could give them a little bit more grace because we recognize, things aren't really that great right now with that. But someone who's like needing a place to stay shouldn't be your new boyfriend or girlfriend asking you.
This honestly hits very home last year I was dating somebody. I don't even think I told you about him, honestly, until it was over. And he didn't have a job. And it didn't bother me because he had a house, like, it seemed like everything's fine. But then as the crunch time kept getting closer, then it became divulged to me that had been on like painkillers. So then he got off them, and I'm thinking, I didn't agree to that. Like, nobody disclosed this to me. And then I watched as he would do all these applications, but then twice in like a week, he said that he had prepared for the wrong interview. So I'm just sitting there thinking, this doesn't seem like a person that has it together. I mean, not even close, really. But I have a tendency to try to see the better angels. I think maybe because I hope people see the better angels in me. But the reality was, they were getting thin. They were getting harder and harder to find. And I just realized I got to get out of here, But if you have a savior complex, which I might have a little bit of one, and if you have these things that say, I want someone to be patient with me, so I'll be patient with them, you can get yourself into a little bit of a pickle.
Right. That's true. And again, excuse me, and I have said this to people, and this conversation is come out of my mouth before, where I say, just because you're without a job, because you know that your own circumstances, doesn't mean you have to feel sorry for someone who hasn't had one in a year. You have a situation. You're aware of your situation. It doesn't mean that you immediately go, oh, you're just without a job, you're bum. I don't mean it from that perspective. But if you're going to take and bring someone directly into your life, kind of sort of know what it is that you don't want to accept. Because you're going to play games with your mind. You're going to say, but, oh, I love it. He listens to me. Really? Tell me a little bit about that. He always answers me when I ask a question. That's not listening to you. That is being able to say yes and no really well.
Conversation.
Right, exactly. So what is it that you truly cannot tolerate not having? I don't want someone with addiction. I don't want someone who's afraid to work. I don't want someone who has no life skills. I don't want someone who's going to, meet me for, dinner and then tell me what I'm going to eat, or tell me what I'm not going to eat and tell me what instead we're not doing anything. We just wanted to see each other. No, we didn't want to just see each other. There's a contract. The initial meet and greet is better than just showing up and rolling your windows down the car. Okay? I've heard that too. That's another thing. Well, we'll just meet in the parking lot. That's where I want to meet my future husband, right?
That's so crazy.
Fortunately, I don't need one. So that all of you people out there wanting to sign up, I'm taken.
You said Brian right here.
Yeah, Brian, right here. There we go. So we know that we're willing to sacrifice for love. When we manifest, getting back to that wonderful term that we've been using, you want to manifest, have some responsibility with it. Manifest, I want a relationship that looks like XYZ as best as you can.
I want to circle back to something you said, because I have heard this a lot, but I want your opinion on the whole finding yourself. So if somebody is actively engaged in that process, that they start talking to you, whatever, or you see them on the street and you realize what is the definition of that to you? And B, for someone to authentically be doing that work, what would be a collection of things you would expect to kind of see around them?
And that's a great idea. And that's a great question. What I would expect if someone says, I'm really trying to find myself. Well, my first thought is, okay, where were you last year? What were you doing last year? And I wouldn't say it like that, because again, if it's someone that hasn't been doing anything, it's very accusatory, because they're going to go, well, you're a bitch. They're going to know that you're on to something a lot better than what they've got to offer you anyway. So when I say someone trying to find themselves, because I'm on all realistic planes, we all are trying to find ourselves, right? I mean, I'm not done. You don't see me, right. Leaving, not exiting the world just today. At least I don't think so. So we're all trying to find ourselves. But if I'm sitting with someone and they say, I am trying to find myself, I said, well, let's see where you've been. It's easier to find yourself forward when you know what you've done behind you. So, okay, you haven't worked in 3 years. Okay, that's fine. You come from a bad marriage. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that things didn't work out. Yeah, my wife took my kids away from me. Okay, that probably just didn't happen because you were a nice guy and paid the bills. So then what happened?
More there.
Right. So we're getting cues and clues. And so again, we're not, as an intuitive, we're not going in there trying to play, the mystery hound. We want to intuitively try to get more feedback, like information from our guides. But if we're realistically interacting, just the Joe Schmoes and the Susie Q's, then we do want to go say, well, tell me what that sounds like. What are you looking for exactly? Okay. You want to be a musician. Oh, cool. I love that. Great. What instrument do you play? None. Okay. Do you like to sing? No, I don't want to sing. Okay, cool. Okay, very cool. So what prompted you to want to do that? That's a great, wonderful thing. You may have been working 80 hours a week for the last 50 years and you got, $1 million in your 401k. Cool. So if you want to go play with the drums later, go for it. Go for it. You go have fun. Put it in the living room. I don't care. I'll be in the other room anyway. So what we see is that we want to look at the past a little bit to kind of migrate towards what could be next. So when people are saying they're finding themselves, I want to know where they've been. Because if they didn't have any motivation before, it might be a long, hard road for them to find themselves 5 years from now.
You know what I just heard in my right ear, which is weird because I don't know normally, is that you're never going to, if someone's saying that they're finding themselves, the only authentic thing you would see is that they've gone inward.
Yes.
Because that's not an original thought, but that's
crazy. And they have gone inward. And sometimes it's a very healthy thing to do. There's plenty of people that I love that they have taken time to find themselves. Maybe they have been in careers that were not for them. Maybe they've been in marriages that have not been for them, relationships.
And maybe it's all found here.
Yeah, it's all found internally. But if you're going to use that, you're going to tote that expression around as your confidant, then do something with it. Don't use it as your armor. Do it, that makes perfect sense. If you've got if you're managing a direction, we all need to find ourselves. If I said to you, I'm trying to find myself, I need to get to the beach. Well, anyone that knows me knows that I don't live there. I don't live on the beach. Then anyone that knows me fairly well would say, yeah, you need to go to the beach, because they know that I usually don't leave. And I usually work. Just like as you get to know people, you know more of where they have been. We look a little bit into the past to see what the future potentially has in store. Not that we don't change. My gosh, if you'd have looked at me in my past, you wouldn't have dated me in the first place, right? Yeah.
Oh, I see. So it just clicked. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit slow, I guess, but you're saying, I'm kind of using synonymously exactly what you're saying, which is you have to take accountability, go within yourself and look at your past and understand what made that be your past. And then sort of exorcise out of you the negative, or lean into. I was misunderstanding what you meant. I was thinking for you as a psychic, you would go and figure out where they were before. And I was trying to understand. No, you're saying we got to look at what we've done and why we did it. I'm tracking. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. I'm normally with you. Sorry.
Right. And so, someone is saying to what I was supposed to do. I'm so lonely. I haven't found love. I'm an adult, or it's been 20 years, or my divorce was 5 years ago, and I haven't found love. And, I'm still finding myself. What have we done? Where's our springboard? Where are we coming from next? Intuitively, I'm going to give you some feedback there, and based on the scenario of the person. But I also know just that there's some basics here that as a coach that we have to kind of address. If you've got this wonderful need to do XYZ and you're 75 and you're saying that all you want to do is fly planes, realistically, you better start now. So you see, so we've got to be real to ourselves. What is it that we're working towards? What is it that we want from someone else? And I am a firm believer, and I truly mean this. I always say, go with the things that you cannot tolerate. Because the things you cannot tolerate, I see it time and time and time again, are the things you get when you're trying to make peace with the fact you're not going to get what you want.
No, and that is so good.
It really makes a difference.
Oh, well, and I guess, with manifestation too, everyone tries to be the voice of the universe with it. Like, well, if you think about the negative, then the universe will respond to that. Well, is that what the universe told you? Like, when did the universe say that? So it's
Exactly.
unique in that way of we're doing our best here, you know?
We are doing our best here. But along the same premise, and I know exactly what you mean, and I'm 100% on board with that. You know, how many clients have we sat with that have said, I'm never going to find love? Well, do you want that? That's all I want. I'm never going to find love. Well, right now, your subconscious is signing you up for exactly what you said you were never going to have. You're never going to have love. And so if we say that, and we basically, we're manifesting the opposite. So if my true desire is to find love, then I should be able to expect it. I have to affirm it. I have to accept it to be something that I can handle, I want, that I can manage, that I'm ready for.
And to your point of going to the past, is there a reason? There must be. I mean, I hate to, you know, this sounds really victim blamey, but we're going to go there. There is a reason in this current moment that perhaps that has not been, that you do not have it.
Yes.
If there, unless you're just the unluckiest in love, there might be some commitment issues. There might be some deservability issues. There might be, oh my gosh, that's a lot of work. Like maybe I've gotten pretty selfish in my times of singlehood. Maybe I'm not ready to change that. And so that's what we can find when you go into the past and say, all right, let's figure out some of this stuff.
Exactly.
Not all of it. We're not, you know, we can't sit there in the past and like try to, you know, but we got to at least acknowledge we're here for some collection of decisions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, that little test group, and again, I know it was a small group subset, but really, if you're sitting in front of someone and you are really just your testimony, and I want to be in love, I want to find a partner, I want this and I want that, and I put you in front of someone, or I give you a potential to put in some of one or more people, I would assume that you would at least take a peek. Your curiosity would take a peek. But what I recognized in that moment was that no one did.
And that
because they didn't really want it.
They spent their money and time for something that they didn't actually want.
That they didn't actually want. You know, that's why the fantasy of the internet is so cool. You know, I there's so many people that, and I, again, I'm not putting anything down on, I'm good, okay? I've met a couple of friends in the past that were actually really good friends by online dating in between my husbands. But I also know that we get our jiggy on, we can be our selves and our unselves. There's not as much of a commitment when we go that direction, because no one is going to, you know, ask for more if we don't want to give more, and we just block them and, you know, swipe to the other way if they're not important for us. So we recognize that we've got a lot of options out there. If we're truly seeking love, if we're truly wanting a spouse, we've got to do something. We can't magically, you know, think it and make it true in our living room. Like, I'm going to bring this magical person in my living room in the next 5 minutes. Well, if you do, I want to hire you because I want your juju, because that's not going to happen.
Man, you know, the whole this is it. I feel a bit strongly about this. Manifestation is a big topic. I get it. I do think that there is the need to plan is very important.
Yes.
But, you know, we are also manifesting in real time with our actions.
Yes.
Is it a little bit late? I mean, yeah, but it is still a choice. It's still a manifestation.
It is
maybe more real than what you're doing in your mind over here.
It is a choice. It most definitely is a choice. And when you see it that way, then it empowers you. Because if you have a choice and you're making a choice, then you can change up your game. But a magical thinking of a relationship is never going to work. And I know people say it all the time. I have a client right now that argues with me every time I meet with him. Love him to death. He's great client in line. But he does not believe he's ever going to find a love. And he solidifies that because he only sleeps with prostitutes. So
that was not where.
Is that too much information?
No, I love that.
Hey, we go everywhere.
Listen, we are human beings doing human things. So
yes, I've seen it all. I
just wasn't ready for that. But go ahead.
I know. Yeah, no, I was making sure you were awake. You know, it's late in the day. But I this is the same person that condemns prostitutes.
So it's always that way.
I'm thinking, okay, you got a little bit of a lack of respect for women if you're condemning the one thing you're getting sex from. So how are you manifesting a healthy relationship when all you're really attracting right now is an unhealthy relationship? So again, come on, people, connect the dots, go get yourself a pen and start making the movement, because you're going to see that sometimes your actions are not manifesting anything. They're actually getting you in a very stuck way and actually putting you in a situation where you may never be able to get a full-time partner because you may be getting something no one wants.
Well, and that's an excellent point about the whole stuck thing is,
Yes.
and I can't remember the full, there's a comedian who but I think he's very insightful. And he was talking sort of about how, you know, we are as much about the journey as we are the destination, because once we get there, we're kind of a little bit, we're already on to the next.
Yes.
And that's been proven psychologically to where we get significantly more dopamine about doing things, thinking that we're about to get what we want, than the actual getting of what we want, which I thought was fascinating.
Yes, it is. And that makes sense. I mean, I can see that. We can feel that. I mean, that does make a lot of sense.
Challenge, and the pursuit, it keeps us going. And so if you sit there and you play, the important thing is that you say on your timeline, this is the outcome that you want, and you just become absent in the process between then and now. Not only will your choices only manifest your unconscious, which is typically pretty out of your control,
right?
And unfortunately governed mostly by our fears and our unknowns.
Yes.
But it's like, why can't we kind of look at that process of like more fun than people do? It's not this horrifying. It doesn't have to be this horrifying thing to say, I would like to start a business.
Right.
Well, why can't, isn't it fun to create for yourself? There's logos to create. There's plans of business to think about. Like, that process can be really fun in between the here and the not, or here and the there.
Yes.
And so it's not so, I know earlier I'm talking about both sides of my mouth. I said it's hard to be here. Definitely it is.
Sure,
but it can also be quite fun.
It can be very fun, but we've got to have a logic about our steps. We've got to, and sometimes we've got to pick a side. If you want it, go get it. If you don't want it, then just don't want it. But sometimes you're right. It can be, and it is sometimes the joy, the dopamine rush of the pursuit. I'm going to tell you a real short little thing of one thing that I noticed someone I've known for years and years. That unfortunately, we're no longer really friends anymore. She's moved far away, and that's probably the best. But it's just it was a really good friend of mine, and this is what we do, and this is a perfect scenario. And please, my disclaimer here is, I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care who you sleep with. Okay, as long as it's not my husband, you have at it. Okay, I don't care. So my point is, I'm an observer in this, and I want you to see my point here. So this is my friend, just a lovely gal, normal, everyday, lovely gal, and she was 30 at the time. Just normal, everyday, nothing weird. She didn't have 3 eyes. She wasn't a cyclops and didn't have 6 legs like a spider. She was a normal person. And so she felt that she needed a man. She needed a spouse. She needed someone to love her. She was so hell-bent on it. Well, she was invited to a wedding. It was one of her old friends' wedding. And she knew there'd be a lot of people there because a friend had a pretty good reputation, her family in the community. So she knew there would be a few hundred people at this wedding. And she, of course, looking for love, right? Was going to have to go to this wedding because she didn't have a choice. It was her friend. She had to commit to that. But she had got it in her mind that she couldn't go there unless she had someone on her arm. She couldn't go alone. And I tried to convince her. I said, if you're looking for a mate, wouldn't you rather go alone to a wedding? There's plenty of people that are all just, amped up, jacked up on a drink and marriage and a bouquet and the whole, this might be your best avenue, your best approach. Well, she didn't agree with me. She refused to go to this wedding unattended. So what did she do? She went ahead and she found herself an escort. So she got an escort, good looking as, of course, they're not going to send you to Cyclops, right? You pay good money, you're going to get something that's got a little bit of heat behind it, right? So she did. She spent almost $300 and she got someone to escort her, all this beautiful manly energy, right? Fabio, no, that's not that. It's stitched right wrong.
Yeah.
I get them confused. Who knows? But So, so she has this as her date, which number one immediately knocks off anybody who had any interest in her because, quite
Mm-hmm.
honestly, she was taken.
Mm-hmm.
And if she was trying to get a little jealousy from some of her friends that were married, it really wasn't going to really be a big deal. And
Mm-mm.
her single ones were going to ask her, and she would have to lie and fabricate, and really, who's the better person, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
not a win-win here. So she
Mm-mm.
goes with this escort, pays a lot of money that she didn't have at the time because she was in between her jobs as well. I forgot to add that too.
Mm.
And so she goes in there. Well, she drinks and she has a good time, and I guess sex is free when you paid $300 for the night. And so she ended up getting an STD from her wonderful rendezvous. Okay. So
Rendezvous.
what's the moral of the story here? Think
A
about
Terryism. A
think
rendezvous.
about the moral of the story here. Seriously. If you want an STD, at least don't pay for it. Go get yourself a man, go find him somewhere and go get one, at the most cost-effective way. But instead, what she did was she was so ashamed and so unable to feel vulnerable that instead she put herself in a situation, and I'm going to tell you, she's probably, done it twice, but, or more. But how was that helpful to her? She self-sabotaged every step of that particular activity. And so we recognize that's not a good process. So for all the listeners out there, I'm off my soapbox. Manifest the good stuff for you. You deserve it. You're worth it, right?
100%.
Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. It doesn't matter if you are, 18, 20, or you're, 120. Go find a mate, go find someone, a partner, go find whatever you need, manifest it. If you need money, get a job. That's the first number one way to assure you're going to manifest it. And then after that, find another avenue to bring you even greater wealth. Start small, grow it big. You want $1 million? You won't get it by watching 24/7 television.
I saw this thing too.
Go get it.
It said, people don't need more motivation. They need more discipline.
Bingo. I like that. What a beautiful, beautiful thing. People need motivation. Interesting.
Well, or no, that they don't need more motivation.
Oh.
They need more discipline.
Discipline. I'm sorry, I heard it in reverse.
No, you're good.
Man, I'll tell you, these late afternoons are getting me.
Same.
But that makes sense.
But, and dovetailing with that, there was another one, my focus has been weird, that was saying we don't fall to our, I can't remember the first part, late days. It says we fall to our habits. So, it's like, and I'm guilty of that hardcore because I can get so excited about something and then I realize my work ethic or my habits can't sustain that.
Right.
But I've gotten patient enough with myself over time to where else I can acknowledge that's kind of hard, not doing this great. How can I try to inch closer to that instead of scrapping the whole plan? Because I used to do that where I just say, well, never mind, this isn't for me. It's like, well, there might be something there. You got to just get yourself under control a little bit.
Bingo. And that makes perfect sense. It truly is about it. It's truly about the discipline. I said it right this time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No, you're perfect. Well, you nailed it. Man, I feel like we go such great places with this because I think it's like if this conversation has not been the full description of like most of our human experiences right now, I don't know what is.
And I agree 100%. Yes, we went many different places. If you were trying to take notes, you know that you've heard so many topics, your head's spinning. But you know what? It all integrates together. We're all having a human experience here right now. And we're just trying to sort things out. We work collectively. We work to help you get a better life. But you have to participate. You don't get to go for a free ride. You have to go and jump into folks' feet and really manifest everything you ever wanted, desired, but participate. And as Sterling said in such a beautiful way, it truly is about what?
The journey, the pathways, and the times. I mean, there's something too. I think with you've taught me a lot about this. Eating good food. doing
Yes.
things that are nice. Like it's like, yeah, the rest of the world's going to be there to be annoying and bum you out and betray you and make you sad. And and it's like, but also there's muffins,
Eat
there's
something
delightful things.
That's exactly right. Now we're not saying go get 100 muffins and eat them.
Yes.
I mean, now if it's pizza, then I'm not saying a word. Okay, you're good to.
I just learned something about pizza.
Oh no, I hope it's good.
Well, it's just funny. So apparently gluten and lactose together create a morphine-like substance.
See, I knew I was getting high on my pizzas.
Oreos and cookie before bed, it's doing something.
We're all
Cheese
drug
and
addicts.
and it's hilarious. I mean, I'm like, that's
funny.
It makes total sense. Our bodies are so unique.
Our bodies are so unique, and that makes a lot of sense. And again, take that with a grain of salt, people. We're really not saying go indulge in everything that's bad for you. We're just simply saying live a good life. Go live a good life. Go find something that brings you joy. Go do something that makes you happy. Go see something that makes you happy. I know enough of you are on TikTok. Surely there's something you can see that makes you happy, right? Go live a life. Go step out and live a life that's for you. That's how we manifest a good one.
And if you are trying to find yourself, I don't know why I just heard this, but there's a way to find a part of yourself in every day. So there's something to be said there where if you just got out of a divorce and he didn't allow muffins in the house, grab a muffin. That's part of you. That's who I am. I do like muffins. This was taken from me, but it doesn't have to be taken from me in the future.
It doesn't have to be taken. That's right. And if you got no muffins and you want muffin and you want me to make you one, to let me know. Okay.
I don't know what muffins and kangaroos, man. They're taking over our whole
red
combo.
Kangaroos too. At least to be happy. Oh my gosh, is this not cool or what?
It is. Listen, our world is quite lovely. We got muffins, we got kangaroos, we got self-help.
I know. I have a question to ask you, to ask the listeners and all the viewers. See, again, I'm a very free-spirited soul, as you can tell. And every time I look up at my camera so that you can see me like this way, I feel like I'm rolling my eyes. So I don't know how that is perceived by all of you. I'm not rolling my eyes, okay? I'm looking up.
No.
I'm looking away.
What's funny is I've edited and clipped this so much. You're actually way better at that than you think.
And more to the point, I feel like I forget that I'm supposed to look at this little beady-eyed light.
I think it works. More often than not, especially where they clip where you're really, I love when you're saying impactful things. You have a tendency to kind of look away because you're thinking. So it wouldn't even be authentic for you to be like, I don't know. You were always perfect.
Well, I'm never going to be always perfect. I don't want to try. That sounds very mundane.
Right, correct.
But I've been watching a lot of YouTubes. For all you listeners that do that for a living, I found some things on YouTube. I'm learning how to actually open them up. It's really cool. There's some really wild things. I'm watching this one dude that's like entering bodybuilding contests, and he weighs like 110 pounds. And I'm seeing these weird things that are just remarkable with a ton of viewers. So hint, hint, subscribe. Okay? Yes. I know they're out there, and I know you are too, because I've seen you all on the other ones. Subscribe. We don't also know ask your questions. We'll find out.
Oh, goodness. And do ask, if you have questions or if you just disagree, let us know kind of where your head's at with what we're talking about. And if you'd like us to talk about something in particular, because more often than not, we just kind of say, what is the universe wanting us to talk about today?
Yes, I know. We go everywhere and we love it. We leap with love, but we always end up somewhere around the wisdom. We just don't know how it flies.
I love it. Well, Miss Terri, we have done it.
We have done it. Yes, we have. I only have 2 more evening readings. What's that?
I said, as we Brutus would say.
Yes, and he is with me and no one else tonight. Our work is not done.
No. I love you so much.
I love you so much. Hey, we're having a ball. If you have any questions, if you have anything you want to add to it, if you want to know, please just, reach out. We'd like to talk to you too. So if you have a question, we'll acknowledge you. We really will. Probably more than you want. We'll give you your name and address and what your IP address is. No worries.
We just start reading you. No.
I love it.
I will see you again next week, and we'll do the work that we do.
Yes.
I love you
and
to death.
I promise I'll clean my desk off between now. See, I'm kind of moving in way of all the mess on that desk.
The desk of mess. You should see my apartment.
Desk of mess. There you go. I love it.
Well, I love you so much, and I'll let
Love
you
you so
go because I
much.
know you got some stuff going on.
Yep. More readings. Here we go.
I love you.
Love you too. Bye bye.